Well, this is my 1987 Trans Am. It's the very first new car I've ever owned. It's my pride and joy, and I bought it off the showroom floor in 1986 when I graduated from college, and I still have it and still love it. Here she is freshly washed, and here she is not. Sometimes the headlights work, but other times I have to manually raise them like you see I'm doing right now. In Journey to Journeyman number 17, you saw me make some bushings for this, and I made them out of pop can aluminum. This is the second time I'm repairing this, and one of the things I do is I keep my old parts, and this is one of the spare headlight motors that I kept, and so I started with this one so I didn't have to pull anything off the car. So what I'll do is repair this one, and then I'll do a swap on it. Now guys, when I opened this, honestly I was shocked because the other times that I've taken these things apart, those bushings would not be there. That would be just absolute dust. They're pulverized. But here they're intact. And now I'm showing you where I'm going to use those pop can aluminum bushings instead of the nylon bushings. So just in case, even though those bushings weren't messed up, I'm going to go ahead and put in the new ones. Put some grease on there and put this motor back together. It's a real tight fit, and it took me a couple of tries and a couple of different ways, but I finally got them back on and back in. And I'm still kind of shocked at why those things are not pulverized and the motor wasn't working, but I'm going to give everything a cleaning and a greasing and get this thing back together. Here she is, good as new. Looks like everything's working well. So, time to head out to the car, pull off the other one that's not working, and stick this one in. Now I know most of you guys are not trying to figure out how to take the headlight motor off of an 87 Trans Am, but there are a couple of guys out there who are, and the videos that they've shown, they pull off so many things. Well, in this case, I found out that you don't have to remove the entire mechanism. You can just pull off the motor. And the way I do that is I take off the running light, disconnect the power, and then use a 10mm ratchet socket that you see here, and that's a longer one, and it fits down in there where I can pull off all three of the mounting bolts. And I had to get a little creative here. I had to use a screwdriver to pull one of the bolts out, and sometimes I would have to hold the screwdriver against the head of the bolt to give it that tension so that that ratchet on that wrench would ratchet. But I was able to not take everything apart, taking the whole headlight out, and still get that motor out. Here again I have to use that screwdriver just to hold pressure up against that bolt so that it can ratchet. It's so tight I can't get my hand down in there to do it by hand, so I have to be creative and like I said, use that screwdriver to put pressure on it so it ratchets. Now that the motor's loose, the headlight wants to fall down, but I take the screwdriver and there is a arm that connects the motor to the bracket there, and once again it's just a pry it off, and I just get a screwdriver down in there, a big screwdriver, and pry that arm off. And here's a quick forensics of the one I just took off, and I'm here to tell you I'm shocked that those bushings are still good. So gonna clean up everything on this one and keep it as a spare. And I'm using my trusty screwdriver again up against that bolt, just holding it until I get a couple of the threads started. And always keep your magnet nearby when you're working on a car. Getting that lever arm back on was a little tricky, but once I got a little leverage, I was able to snap it back in place. Now that the mechanism looked like it's working right, time to put things back together. I just stick the bolts back in, put the light bulb back in, and now it's time to try it out. Ta-da! Well, doesn't look like I have to hand crank these headlights anymore. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this.